What's happening, everybody? Party God Plays. Today, the new update dropped, Dante Unbound, and we're going to be taking a look at the new warframe Dante and his weapons. Let's get it. Off the bat, here we go. He comes with a universal polarity for the aura slot or aura mod. Big W right there, and here are his base stats. Now, won't really matter too much, but let's go ahead into the abilities. So the first ability is Noctua, which is his Exalted Tome. Now, when summoned, drains 5 energy, and then it drains 2 energy per shot. Now, it has a 250 primary fire of slash, and for the alternate fire is 2,750 radiation damage. Lit. Now let's jump into the second ability, which is Light Verse. Light Verse grants Overguard and increase health. Drain of 25 energy on cast, health, 20% health increase, as well as a 500% Overguard increase, and it caps out to 15,000. I'm loving it. Support frame on top. Next up, we have Dark Verse, which inflicts enemies with slash damage. Now, this has a 25 energy drain on cast, and it does 1,250 base slash damage. Last but not least is Final Verse. And now this depends on what verse you cast in succession. So you need to cast 2 verses. For this one, which would be Triumph, you need 2 light verses, and this will grant you some pretty good buffs. Increase health and generates Overguard. Kills and assists, briefly regenerates Overguard. 50 energy drain on cast, 45 seconds for the duration, 5,000 Overguard, and 50 Overguard per second for 2 seconds. Pretty decent for base. Again, you need to cast 2 light verses for that final verse there. Next is the Tragedy Final Verse. Any DOT that the enemy has suffered is accumulated in a single blast. So, stack a lot of effects on them. Now, same thing. The only difference is the damage. This does damage. This does 6,500 slash damage with a damage multiplier of 3 times. Decent. Again. Alright, so Word Warden, Light Verse and Dark Verse, which supports allies with a copy of Noctua. They get their own Noctuas, and it synchronizes their attacks with their designated allies. Pretty good. I will have more tips. I will have some tips on this, so stay tuned. And the last one, which is Page Flight, is a Dark Verse followed by a Light Verse, which summons a Paragram that swoops down and pretty much makes enemies more vulnerable to status chance, and it also draws fire away from you and your allies. If I said support, he is a big support frame. I love it. And I already have a good build for it. It's perfect. Alright, so he came with the Ruvok, which is an Incarnon, what would I call it? Gauntlet? Melee Gauntlet? Melee gauntlets. Pretty dope for a weapon that impales enemies on spikes. I love it. Haven't used it yet, but I just need a good run to master it, like max it out a few times. And then, I'm gonna get to work on a build. And lastly, we have Noctua, the Exalted Tome. Now, the good thing about the Tome is the fact that you can put on every single tome mod. There are no restrictions, and that makes it the best support exalted weapon that I have ever used in Warframe. Its special trait tells you there is no restriction on the number of tome mods you can equip on Noctua. Normally, on the regular tome, you can only equip 2, one for the Excellence slot, and then another one for the regular loadout slots. Normally, I wouldn't do that. I would actually set up a good build for that, but I know I will suck a lot with this weapon. So like I guess Netra cells, I will be a support instead of being like on the front lines with Mesa, because that's usually how I go about it. But for the most part, this weapon is pretty decent. Kind of slow when shooting, but that can be improved. Let me know what you guys think about the new Warframe Dante and the new weapons that come with him. And I will catch you guys later with some tips, builds, and more. Peace.